Hi, everybody. This is Matthew Poes of Poes Acoustics. I'm here with my buddy Dan Roemer, who is the CEO and co-founder of Perlisten Audios. Dan, thanks for coming on here for a second.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for coming by the booth and checking out our audio ad video this year.
Absolutely. So people know me, of course, from Audioholics, and I work with them. They know the work I've done on my own, and many know that I've been a huge fan of Perlisten Audio, basically since you founded the company. I think you guys were all a few months out product, and I contacted you about actually becoming a reseller for it, in part because I was looking for something that I really believed in as a good product. And one of the problems I've often run into is, how do I provide to my clients a product that I believe in, that I know it's a really solid and well-engineered product to meet their needs, and guarantee that when they go into any store, they don't get talked into something else.
Right.
So that was how I ended up basically coming to work with you guys on that. I've been a huge supporter. I put it in my own home theater. I've had people come in, they've been blown away. Often they're in-wall speakers. People say, this is the first time I've heard in-wall speakers that didn't compromise. They didn't leave anything on the table to look like tower speakers, which is a testament to your engineering.
Thank you.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what caused you to want to found this company in the first place and go the direction you did?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. Obviously, I've been an engineer my whole life. Hi-fi audio is, this my passion, and it's my profession. So for many, many years, I've been doing this for like 30 years, from transducer designs ground up, but also doing simulations, trying to model loudspeaker components, full loudspeakers, complete systems on a computer, and do predictive outcomes for how it's actually going to sound. And, that's always been in our DNA, my DNA personally, and my colleagues, Eric and Steven. And that's what we've been doing for quite a few years. We formed a company about 10 years ago where we're doing specifically consulting for a lot of other brands in the industry, and knowing full well in the background that we still had the passion to do our own products. And but like everybody knows, to start a brand, you need to have money, you need to have resources, and to bring it to market. So what we did is we took a lot of sweat equity, I call it, which means work, saved money the whole time, and then tooled up Perlisten and came out with many, many products all at the same time, from 2-channel hi-fi to subwoofers to home theater solutions. And then, of course, over the last 3 years, we've kind of layered in more and more strategic products for that.
Yeah, for sure. I think I bug you, whether it's a text message or emails. Hey, can you make this product? I could really use this. Sometimes you've done that, and probably I'm not the only one who's asked for it.
No, and I do appreciate that, and I love that kind of input that you specifically give, because it gives you an idea of needs in the market, right? And the more we talk openly about that, the more we can figure out if there's a Perlisten product in there, and something that we can do unique. And I think that's one of the things I pride our team on, is we find a way to uniquely solve problems in the industry acoustically and come out with I call them Perlisten products.
Yeah. So kind of related to that, you had a conversation with Keith Yates, and you and I then talked afterwards. I thought it was an interesting conversation where you said, in some ways, designing the ultimate home theater may actually come down to specifying exactly what performance the speaker needs to achieve. And really, I don't think you meant just, the frequency response of the SPL, directivity,
everything,
lobe direction. Yeah, everything goes into that. You designed you as an engineer with that expertise could put together a speaker that meets that need. Now, you can't run a company that way, because every theater is going to have slightly different or substantially different needs.
True.
But it is a way of achieving other, better performance. But I think you've started to do that.
So we'd call that the first level. And honestly, that you hit it right on the head. That's the philosophy that Perlisten has, that I think is somewhat unique in the industry, where we are starting more with outcomes in the room and how that speaker will react with the room for higher performance. So then the design, what's the design of that speaker need to be to guarantee a better chance of high performance in the room? So you're starting at a better point. And then obviously where your expertise comes in, Matt, is where you can make the room better with the speaker. But if you start with a good to great speaker, you can get to a higher level.
Well, and in order to do my job well, I actually need a speaker whose engineering I know and understand. In other words, all those things that you're designing for that I would ask you for in a custom speaker, I need to know that when I design it into the room. That's actually not the norm in the industry. So it can be really hard to get certain key information about a speaker's performance. Like you guys, a lot of that, you wear it on your arm sleeve. It's right there, better or worse, and I'm able to use that information to decide, is that the right product for the system or not? Sure. I worked on theaters where I can't use your speakers. Yeah. It's not that they're a bad speaker, it's that they don't meet the performance.
It's super high SPL,
yeah,
they're very large. Yeah, I can understand that. And honestly, that's not only is it great for you for picking, for using in your application, but also even within the line, right? Which speaker, S7, S5, S4, which is the right one for your application. And that's why those measurements can be so useful.
They really can be. So I appreciate that. I'll mention really quick, as well, related to these design optimization ideas, your in-sync speakers, which came out at CEDIA and now are available on the market, are an optimized in-sync speaker with a 30-degree design
reference
access into it. Yeah. That allows you to, and so a lot of people saw that and thought, oh, that's silly. It's a sign of a bad speaker. If it needs that, the reality is all speakers need that. Yeah. Very few do it right. There are other products that have an aimed tweeter or an aimed mid-range tweeter, but most of them aren't very gained. What you've achieved is something that's actually extremely high performance with the aiming built in. In my opinion, and you've shared this sentiment, I would actually rather put that speaker in my ceiling than, for instance, an S4 Beam.
Oh yeah,
from a stand, because it's more optimal.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's a very specific application driven speaker, and then when you break that down, so you know which relative seating position to where you put in the speaker. Essentially, now you have this window of what you want coverage, your coverage angle, right? And then the speaker is designed specifically to give even dispersion over that coverage angle. And then of course we try and get the CTA curves to be in the family, we call it the Perlisten family of curves. So then we have timbre matching as close as we can get, even though it's a significantly different application.
Right. And I think you've done a great job with that. And I've really come to appreciate how important that is. The theater that I built using your Perlisten speakers was actually the first theater I've ever personally owned that was fully timbre matched.
Yeah.
And the difference it made was apparent in movies, but it was actually Atmos Music, which had come out at the same time the theater was finished, where I first said, okay, now I get it. And that's because with music, they're actually taking advantage of the fact that all the channels are full bandwidth to mix whenever. I mean, I've listened to recording because they've got a drum in the left surround channel.
So that, it certainly takes the speaker to its limits, right?
Exactly. And there is some, like, we've kind of made fun of it, but it's a good test track. So I'll just put it out there. Tiesto's got this song, Boom. And it's been going around a lot because the Atmos version of it is basically throwing full range stuff across all the speakers, including the Atmos speakers. And it's got a lot of bass. So people who want to test out their Perlisten subwoofers and really push them to the limits, it's a good song.
Okay, yeah.
But for testing the timbre matching, it's actually good because, like I said, they're actually having the voices and some of the beats and instruments you can around all the different speakers in the room.
Yeah.
And your speakers, to me, highlight the importance of having good, consistent timbre matching. You know, some people think if it's made by one brand and within one series, it's timbre match, but that's not necessarily true.
No. And honestly, I think we've taken it as far as we can, the timbre matching, and it's not just a code material, it's not just a series name like you implied, and it's not just the on-axis response, it's really what the full polar signature of that speaker is, because that's how you're going to hear it. You're going to hear the initial wavefront, but you're also going to hear what the room's giving back to you. And if those speakers have similar characteristics, that's your timbre matching. That's truly what you're looking at. And back to the experience, that demo, if you have distinct speakers that are not timbre matched, you pick up on it really quick. And so think about if something's panning, all of a sudden you're distracted rather than enjoying the event. So that's why timbre matching is so important.
All right, well, I want to thank you for coming on the channel. I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. Like I said, I've been a big supporter of the brand. I sometimes get accused of being too much of a fanboy. At the end of the day, you have to have, I think, a core brand that you like and respect, that you know is going to work. It's too hard for me to figure out every possible brand that could be the best. But of course, with what I do for a living and what I do with the magazines, I do get exposure to a lot of what's on the market.
Right.
And it's still stuck by Perlisten as a brand that I think is among the best. My wife on her ride up here actually said to me, what's the best?
Right.
Left set or right speaker. I said, oh, Perlisten is my favorite. What's the best subwoofers though? Do you like those other ones that you have? I said, those are excellent. They're probably in the top 2 or 3 best subwoofers, but I would still call the Perlisten, like the D215S, the best subwoofer on the market.
Thank you.
So at the end of the day, I really have come to feel like your products in their respective class are the best. And in some cases, among the best there is. Like I actually think the S7T LEs that you came out with should be looked at by any audiophile at any price point as the best speaker that they could buy. I haven't heard a better station myself, and I've heard $100,000.
We A/B that against the S7. It was a fun, revealing experience because, you know, there's on paper, there's the simulation, and even the family of curves. Family of curves are very similar to an S7T standard version, but then when you do the A/B, the wow factor starts coming out, and that's really what makes that product so unique and so much fun.
Well, I can't wait to see that trickle out into other products. I think you've done a lot with that. But thanks again. Appreciate you coming on the channel.
Yes, and thanks for reaching out 3 years ago.
Absolutely.
Becoming a Perlistener, as we call it.
Yeah,
thanks.
absolutely. Thank you.